who goes in first, you know, like the Centaur-esque kind of body.
By the way, SD again. This hero's been banned so much, and now we're getting him.
He's slipping through the ranks. I feel like Pugna has risen up to be his ban-worthy replacement.
And Team Liquid's going to go for the Ogre. They had a really high win rate of this on this early in the tournament. They kind of fell off a little bit. They stopped picking him as much.
Yeah, they kept giving Insania Tusk instead, like left and right.
Maybe because they wanted more flex potential or something like this. But this game is pretty clear. Team Liquid's not messing around with any flex heroes. It's just very obvious where their heroes are going. So maybe this is just a draft discussion they had to put them in a better position. But Ogre against Bristle is good. Very high armor. You can fight him. Makes some sense.
They did mention that they love to pair Gyro with Ogre. That's their favorite carry pairing for it. And the logic that Insania gave was that he thinks that Ogre's level 1 is compensated for by how strong Gyro is on level 1. Because level 1 Ogre has no spells. So that could be something they're looking to do as well. But for Tundra, like this is just... They love their Bristleback. They love playing on that timing. You pair it with something like a Shadow Demon, who you know is going to be making a ridiculous amount of stacks for this Bristle to hit that level 15 spike.
Storm Spirit.
Liquid need to be able to invade at a certain point in the game.
It's a fast draft.
Yeah, dang. They got somewhere to be. It is nearly dinner time.
And I have to imagine these two teams probably scrim against each other a bunch.
They're just hoping they don't let this series doesn't go till midnight as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one new thing about this series is Liquid is not playing the last series of the night. Every other group stage 2 match that they've played was the final series of the night.
5 seconds remaining.
Well, Storm Spirit for Lorenoff looks great. He's fantastic on it. Tusk as well gives them 2 saves now between their support duo, so that looks great. I'd say both draft formulations so far look good.
Yeah, and also Tusk is very able to rotate to that Storm Spirit's lane once he hits level 6 and pressure the Invoker. Like the way that Invoker operates now is it feels like he really just doesn't lose lane, and the best way to deal with him is to bring heroes early on to kill him while he's still vulnerable in that laning phase. So Tusk is definitely one of the better ones here. Also, it gives you a very early Roche timing with the tag team if that's what they choose to go, and the Bristleback.
Thunder hasn't opened with Bristleback since 5 days ago, actually, and a lot of those games they're just not even. It's not even banned, so they just had some stuff ready to go here. A little bit different. Gonna keep Liquid on their toes.
And instead of their tried and true gyrocopter, Liquid opt to pair up this Ogre Magi with a Morphling.
I mean, it makes sense because Tundra don't have the best heroes at capturing a Morphling. Like, if Storm opts to go Orchid and he has a good game, then that'll be a way to punish Morphling. But outside of that, Shadow Demon doesn't really deal with him. Tusk doesn't deal with him. That's a pretty free Morphling game.
The only downside I can see is there's not great people to turn into, right? But it's fine.
Radiant team banned.
They can make it work. They're also not going to have carry potential weaknesses with a Morphling. They'll scale decently well, and they've got good burst damage to follow up on other things. Bloodlust is maybe less good on Morphling than other carries, but it's still a fine pairing. It'll work.
Did they fix the Storm thing yet? The bug with the double attack?
I mean,
has Dota been patched in the last few days? I don't think
I've been like a micro patch. I don't know.
I don't think I downloaded
the bug you're referring to, I believe, is when you have Shard and you activate it, your Storm Spirit's overload attacks do twice the damage than it technically says it is, but the allies you put it on, they don't get double damage. So it's effectively like 300 more damage when you use 3 attacks. So it's there, but it feels like one of those like things where they're like, oh, it's a bug, but we're just gonna leave it in because
it's not super busted. Like it's not like game breaking.
Yeah, if it gave double attacks to everyone on your team, like with a Visage or something, it would have been crazy.
I mean, speaking of Visage, it's not banned out. Saberlight and 33 both have a proclivity for the hero.
I don't like it very much here for Liquid. What Tundra banned in the Dawn and Mars is what basically Liquid lack right now, which is a hero to anchor their team fight or something that's able to set up or react. Because you do have a lot of damage coming out from Hoodwink plus Invoker in the back, but you don't really have that hero tying it together. Something they could look at is Pango. Like Pango would be good at disrupting the backline Shadow Demon, causing the chaos in the fight, but that's the recipe they need to follow right now.
I like that, especially because Ogre just doesn't provide very good team fight, and sometimes it takes Morphling time to do that as well. It's one of the weaknesses of Ogre. You're survivable. They don't really want to go on you because it's going to cross too many spells, but yeah, there's the Pango. That's going to give that nice team fight disruption that you're talking about.
I mean, they could choose to heavily punish it on lane, but Like a lot of the heroes that would punish melee heroes have already been taken out in the draft. Like the TA, for example.
10 seconds remaining.
Or the SF carry.
5
Do you have any preference
seconds
for where this
remaining.
bristleback goes on Tundra, now that you know Liquid's full lineup?
I think you just put it offlane, because it makes sense with the Shadow Demon paired with it.
Yeah, I just assume that's going to be the case since 3-3 feels like playing it a lot.
Which means we're on the lookout for a Nightfall hero right now, many of which have been banned. No DK, no SF, no Alchemist, no TA. He has Monkey King potential.
You could also still Luna and try to play on an earlier timing. Still left in the pool.
I think Luna's
I don't
okay.
know about Monkey, because my only concern is it would be quite hard for him to fight in the circle when you've got a Pango ball rolling around and you're getting tornadoed and EMP'd and all the rest of it.
That's true.
Yeah, they do have a lot of disable. You're right on that.
Thing is, you don't want to pick a carry that will give Morphling a good replicate target, like Gyro. That just wouldn't work. But you want to be able to group up early with Bristleback once he gets that Agonist.
Luna then. Oh,
What's he-
Choose
wowzers.
your hero.
Only been picked once in the tournament, and it lost.
I did check Nightfall's Dota Pro Tracker, and he did play this one time in one of his pubs in the last few days. So
Okay.
it is a hero on their radar that they've been talking about. It is the traditional counter to Pingo with the Rupture. It just hasn't been played to success, like you mentioned, Neil, because I did see it one time and I was not impressed by it. But honestly, they have this secondary carry in Bristleback anyway, where you don't need to depend entirely on this Bloodseeker to carry the game. So in this game in particular, if they can play in their like 25 to 35 minute window, they'll be happy with it. If it goes to overall late game, they might feel regret with the Bloodseeker pick.
At least they do have mixed damage regardless, though, because whenever I feel that everyone's putting their eggs in one core basket, like at Bristleback, then the enemy team just builds a bunch of armor and you're screwed. But Storm Spirit, I imagine, is going to have a pretty great game because there are not very many stuns on Liquid side.
I mean, there's Ogre, there's Hoodwink,
Ogre
and
with
probably...
the 10-second long cast animation.
It's more the cast range, really.
Also true.
Yeah, I mean, but there are some stuns and some burst damage. The Pango roll plus one stun plus a Morphling, you can definitely die. There's some worry, but there's also good heroes for him to grab. If he catches the Hoodwink, for example, the rat head could die very easily.
The Scav.
Don't have a go at rats, please.
I think it'll work because you have two cores anyway. Like the Storm plus the Bristle, you're not going to be lacking in that like oomph potential in the late game. Like you will maybe run into Morphling issues way later on, but by removing that Pango from the fight with Rupture, Liquid have their gameplay made very difficult because, like I said, that's their only team fight anchor. They don't have anyone else starting these fights for them.
That's a good point.
Liquid versus Tundra. Who was right? Who was left? Let's find out in the game number 1 with Cap and Cinderin.
Thirty seconds to battle. The battle begins.
We had Cinderin share his wisdom about Dota 2 and team dynamics, and you're certainly right, Cinderin. But it doesn't fit our thirst for drama
That's true.
and blame.
In
so
every
this-
argument, someone has to be right and someone has to be left.
Of course.
There is never room for compromise. Everything in the world is just binary, Cap. There's a right and a wrong and no in between.
And that is why this series, at the start of the season, will determine everything. Who will determine who was the reason they won TI last year. It'll determine who will do well this year.
Yep.
It's all come down to this, Synderen. This is probably the most important series of the entire year, maybe 2 years.
Insania is making a case for being left. 33. I actually think he could have maybe chased that, but all right, plays it safe. Fair enough. A little bit to unpack in this game, Cap. We see the Bloodseeker pick come out from Nightfall. I believe we have not cast this hero this tournament.
Nope.
It has been played, but I am happy to see it carry. I feel like this hero, for my money's worth, is almost exclusively a position 1. No, wait, it's actually going to be turned on. Really?
Nice read of the situation. Maybe Nightfall's playing it in his pubs, but I don't know how many carry Bloodseekers Whitemon has played with.
That's true.
Misread of the situation and misread of how much damage they could do to the little hoodwink.
Just a bit over-aggressive. I think we've seen an offlane Bloodseeker attempt at this tournament. I'm not a big fan of that. I think the hero just suffers way too much when played in the offlane position from weak laning. I think it was even played against a Shadow Fiend in a game. In lane, it's just like hopeless, you know, good luck. But as a carry in the right matchup, you're playing against the Pango, which is obviously great. But also, Bloodseeker can become a hyper carry, actually. He's one of the strongest late game heroes, in my opinion, because when you get later into the game, let's say like minute 30, 35 plus, fights get very explosive, and you benefit so much from heroes taking damage. And the type of lineup that he's playing with here, there's some solid burst between Bristleback and Storm to really get him up and running in the fights. So I'm excited to see it. It's always nice to see different heroes that aren't that popular in the meta get the limelight once in a while.
Now that they have Shadow Poison, nice bushwhack. That'll kick him out and get some pretty good damage out of the Ilkron shot as well. I saw that Ogre still has this incredible win rate.
Yeah.
At this tournament. I still don't understand why. Really good. The tag team and the minus armor from Viscous Nasal Goo, it'll make that tanky Ogre a whole lot squishier. Saksa make sure that 33 is the one to take the last hit.
I'd actually argue this is a really difficult Ogre lane. What makes this hero a good laner is when you're in a position where you can play aggressive and you can, you know, oppress the enemy team in that lane. Not really possible here. You're playing with a Morphling who is one of the weaker early game aggression carries. He's fine at staying alive, but doesn't really offer much in the way of killing. So you can't really be a wall for your Morph because Tusk Bristle 100-0 you as Ogre, which is very unusual.
Yeah.
That your hero can die that easily, but that lane is just extremely strong. And they talked about it on the panel. Insania had said in an interview that they like playing it together with Gyro because he helps Ogre reach level 2 and you're stronger early on. Morphling does not help you reach level 2, and even when you do, you're still not that strong here.
Yeah.
So despite Ogre in reality right now being level 3, I think your lane is just weaker.
Going on to Whitemon. That'll be the Blood Right.
This lane, speaking of weak lanes though, Bloodseeker Shadow Demon. Yeah, it's not exactly up there for me.
No.
So despite it being a good Bloodseeker game on core-to-core matchup basis against, in particular, the Pango, Saberlight should be having a very good laning stage. There's nothing really preventing him from finding good CS, and seeing that on the scoreboard as well right now, actually even topping the charts. But of course, Bloodseeker will get his too. But you're definitely not being a threat.
Got a grab and landed the shield crash just before the disruption. That is critical because it is just enough damage for Whitemon to die. A second kill. So not only are they getting top CS, but they've also gotten 2 kills out of this lane. This offlane going very, very well. But as you said, it kind of needs to, right? Because you are going to have a rough Pango game otherwise.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how Saberlight itemizes. We've seen different theories from offlane Pangos against Care Bloodseekers over time. We've seen like Linken's as a potential solution. I think that's kind of hard to run nowadays. Now that you can proc the Linken's during Rolling Thunder with non-BKB piercing spells.
Yep.
We've seen auras where you just accept that you have to tank up. Moxie's in trouble. Moxie is dying.
He does have stick charges, but they are still going to be able to run him down. Nightfall is the one to take the kill. Seemed like mid lane, we saw, you could actually see it from, I think, kind of the CS, where both the Storm Spirit and the Invoker are kind of low down there on last hits compared to the side lanes. And it's just because it's a harass battle, right? It's like the Invoker is constantly gunning at the Storm Spirit, trying to EMP him and make his lane as miserable as possible. And as a result, 12 denies. Lorinoff will find his level 6 in the jungle.
Yeah, this is still quite decent for Lorinoff, to be honest. I would say, yeah, you're going to be out denied by the Invoker, but as long as you get your own CS and make yourself a game, that's fine. Unfortunately for him, no rune time around. That will be grabbed by Insania, getting the regen.
So for me, I felt like Liquid really needed to win the lanes, and that has not really happened. So I'm a big concern for them. Because as the panel said, it looks like a damn good Storm Spirit game. The Pango's countered by the Bloodseeker. Yeah. So just feels like there's a lot of problems if you don't have a gold advantage.
And I think the biggest mystery for this game that I'm curious to see is how the Bloodseeker versus Morph matchup goes later down the line. The interesting thing about Bloodseeker is he's one of the... Nice combo!
Got him from behind, and he's burned out of all of his mana. What a good gank from Liquid.
No stick, so can't get that burst of mana to get the zip away. Very nicely done by Nisha and Boxy finding there. Yeah, so the Morph versus Bloodseeker matchup. Bloodseeker, we saw a game in Wallachia where Bloodseeker countered Alchemist. He just reaches this point of critical mass later in the game where he is so tanky and does so much damage in a heads-up battle between carries. Morphling is a different beast, though, than Alk. So we'll see if Bloodseeker can just get that trade. What Bloodseeker eventually does is he gets this massive barrier from Blood Mist when you get the Ags as a carry, and that can often offset matchups that might not on paper be the best. You could just enter the fight with 50% more health, you know, that kind of tends to help. Saberlight is very dead here.
Yeah, he's going to pop the Rolling Thunder and try and TP away, but he'll die. It's sort of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation.
Yeah, it's better to don't, because then you have your TP. Now he has neither. Now he has to do the long walk of shame from base to bot.
Yeah.
It's so annoying, you know? And I understand why he tried it, and this was literally the only way he had any chance of surviving. So we see the replay here. 33 kill. Very deep for that boxing attempt.
What was that? That was crazy. We just wanted to find the Morphling farming and stop him?
Not sure.
Either way, he added to the Morphling's farm by doing that.
Now he will add to his own by playing the lovely triangle. What should we start calling this now? Because we called this triangle for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And now there's no 3 camps anymore, but I still call it triangle because I haven't come up with another word for it. Do you want to coin a word right now?
No, because I don't want to buck tradition. I think it's kind of nice. Everybody knows it as the triangle.
Yeah.
It's one of those if you know, you know situations.
I guess you could argue there's 2 camps in the secret shop, and that's the triangle. There's like 3.
Sure.
There's 3 objectives there.
So yeah, I'm down with it.
Let's
the
do
outpost.
that. We're coping with that. Or the outpost, yeah. So it's actually a... A disruption?
The quadrilateral. Hit the fire blast, but
it doesn't sound as good with their farming the rhomboid, does it?
Yeah. He hit the quad.
I don't think
that's catchy.
That sounds
They're
like
hitting the quad right now.
That's what Brian does every second day in the hotel.
Man's hitting those quads nonstop.
Can't shoot for the pyramid anymore. Gotta hit the quads.
That's an in-show. So, to be clear, any listeners, there's a pinball machine that we used to have. That one of the lines was shoot the pyramid. TP away from Saberlight after the rupture. And there he goes.
Cap, I prefer when I make an inside joke that 2 people understand that we keep it between us for broadcast, okay?
EMP. Snowball pick up, but they're still inside the EMP. But it looks like mana isn't the problem. It's an HP problem for Liquid. A tornado that tries and does finish off the Shadow Demon while he TPs away. That was smooth from Nisha.
Decent trade overall. SD for Hoodwink, relatively even. Now this, all in all, this game is just pretty even right now. Like nobody's building a very meaningful advantage, so it really is a matter of like what you talked about, who does better down the stretch with scaling. And as much as we've talked about the good matchups, I think the concern here in all for Tundra, when you look at the gold, is Storm is quite poor. And the trade-off is that the Pango is poor too, but he's the guy who's supposed to have a bad game.
Sure.
So if he does, that's probably something that you can strategize around. If Storm suffers too much, it can be difficult for him to find an entry into the game. It's a good Storm game, for sure, but it's not problem-free. Invoker's going to buy Hex eventually. You're always going to be playing against the threat of getting caught by some sort of random stun in the middle of the fight if you're next to trees, if you get too close to Ogre. You need to be on your toes, and a lot of the time how Storm counters heroes like Hoodwink and Ogre is very much down to having enough mana pool, so that you can keep zipping so they never hit their spells.
Saberlight's going to die again, and this will give the Storm Spirit a galvanized stack. They do it a good bushwhack in return, but
it would have been nice for them if Lorinov got the last hit there instead of Soxa. I think they really need some kill bounty on the Storm. Nice try from Nisha.
oh, Mickey came through the gate. He's going for Nightfall here, and he might just have him. He's Nightfall's going to dip into the trees, and he is going to get cut off, and now Boxy's there on the other side of things. It'll be Boxy will take that kill. Liquid making a 5-man move to get some vengeance for poor Saberlight, who is on the receiving end of a rupture every 70 seconds.
Yeah, Morphling with Lats just loves to get involved. Very, very strong hero right now. Takes that tower together with Nisha as well as Insania, and see how they choose to distribute their heroes. I thought maybe Morph was actually going to stay down here, but yeah, he will. Or will he? He went back and forth.
He only has a little bit of mana to work with here. With an amp damage, okay, disruption, and the toss is coming in, but so is the Invoker. Chained up. Hit the purge on him, but Lorinov, it's dead. He's dead.
Did Soxa get cancelled by...
Yeah, somebody stopped his TP, I think.
Yeah, he got cancelled by either the Hoodwink or the Morph off screen to the right, so a double dip for Liquid and a tower. This is a really, really good sequence that they found themselves. You see it here, Soxa TPing.
Oh, wow.
What a read from Boxy there.
That was sick.
That's so nice. Yeah, Soxa makes them work for it, but ultimately 2 kills in a tower going the way of Liquid in that one move, and right before that they found 2 kills in a tower bot. So talk about high impact plays. And the reason the gold isn't looking grimmer than this is that Bristol is farming up a Storm in the meantime. Oh, speaking of Storm, is he actually just gonna...
Okay, disruption. When he comes back in, he's going to be shot by the Hoodwink, but don't think they have any disables past that. In fact, Storm's are once again aggressive. They're going to go for the Ogre, and Insania is going to be left behind by the rest of Team Liquid. Boxy dipping into the trees with the scurry, TP's out, and it'll only be the Ogre who dies. The trade-off seems to be that was kind of like a 4 versus 4. Morphling's farming, but so is 33. 33 does have his axe done.
Yeah. Now, Bristle, in my opinion, is facing one of his worst matchups in Pro Dota right now in the Invoker. You're going to itemize your way out of this by getting a BKB eventually, but until then, Invoker has like 3 or 4 spells that are really good against your hero. Tornado is great, EMP is great, Cold Snap, and of course, Ice Wall. All of these abilities that hamper movement is... Bristle's bread and butter is being able to run around. So the more things you have that just slow him down and annoy him, even if you don't kill him, like Invoker isn't good at killing Bristle. He's just good at making his life miserable in the fight, and a lot of the time that's enough. So I don't think this axe on 33 is necessarily inspiring him to just be like, all right guys, let's go team fight, I'm the strongest hero on the map. In theory he is, if he gets to do the damage, but it's not that easy.
In particular, considering the Invoker's success in this game so far.
Yes.
It does look like Nisha is going a right-click build. Does that change your estimation of like the scaling and how this game goes as we go late?
I feel like this build is the build that every Invoker does every game, but then the deviation happens from the 3rd item, right? They always get Witchblade and they always get Pike, and then sometimes it's BKB, sometimes it's Hex, sometimes it's Parasma. I would like to probably see him... I'm a little bit torn here between BKB and Hex, because I think the BKB might be necessary as well. He's not playing with any saves in his team. They're in the other one, with both the Snowball as well as Disruption. He has neither of those tools available, so probably going to see the BKB. But yeah, I think Hex is definitely still on the menu later down the line, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself because that Hex is probably 15 minutes away, but if Storm keeps having this bad of a game, it'll matter eventually. Slow to a crawl kill easily.
Now, with this Invoker build, it means that all these Invokers forsake going Vessel, but Saberlight, that's where he's going to come in. He's going to go Vessel. He's going to go Blink Dagger. I always find Shard is super helpful against the Bloodseeker. It gives you at least like a little bit of window where you can stop moving.
Dyer's middle tower is
So if
under
they can
attack.
somehow get him that from Tormentor, that would be sick. But
It's also like, okay, if they really want Saberlight dead, he'll die, right? He can Rupture and Demonic Purge, and then his defensive items aren't even going to be much help, but maybe that's also a little bit overcommitment shutting down that Pango. But yeah, I agree. I think the Shard would be a very nice pickup. I don't know if there's a world where he gets it for free. Probably not, because neither Ogre nor Hoodwink will want to buy theirs.
yeah, the only situation would be if they take the enemy Tormentor, which... We'll see. I mean, Liquid's not ahead by a big amount of net worth, but it does feel like they control more map space right now. They are trying to be the aggressors. And right now, it's not working for them, though. Tundra is dodging a lot of this, including Lorinoff, who's backing away from...
Boxy showed there.
Yeah, Boxy showed himself. Lorinoff, quick to get out.
Looked kind of strange. It almost looked like Boxy thought he was smoked with that movement pattern. He just cut right next to a melee creep or range creep there. I don't know if there even was a path where he didn't get spotted, because it's either that or he goes into tower vision, so I guess he didn't really have much of a choice. Yeah, mission failed there for the Tundra side.
Middle tower is under attack.
Tundra setting up on a tower, but nobody really showing on it. Maybe hoping that they can punish some support that tries to defend. Gonna go through the gate. They're gonna try and deal with a Morphling of all heroes.
I think 33 wants to finish this tower.
And he's gonna go for it, finish it off here. And Mickey apparently wants to fight him. He could put Goo on the Bristleback, which would make him a lot easier to kill, especially with the Quills lining up. And now the Vessel, now the shot, now he's broken. Saved by Disruption, but only momentarily here. Picked out by the Snowball, another save. Swashbuckle's gonna come out, Sunstrike, Bushwhack on 2. Beautiful setup, 33 finally dies, and Mickey lives from the assault of Lorinoff. Now Lorinoff has to use the rest of his mana to get away. Whitemon, he's not getting out. Once again, Tornado setting up the follow-up there from Boxy. Time and time again, this duo is finding kills. 3 kills to the favor of Liquid. They didn't lose a damn thing for it.
Yeah, nice and clean fight from them. And also a 5v4. I'm a little bit surprised that Bloodseeker's not getting involved at all, considering how much damage is being done in these exchanges. Perhaps he could choose to bring Nightfall and get something done here, but they will leave it at that, and that's going to cost them the fight and the Roche. Clean execution from Liquid, and what's really important for them and what mattered so much with Mickey's play there is wait, is he?
Yeah, they got to be careful there.
BKB, he's pretty strong. They might get a straggly here. I guess, yeah. Saberlight.
Good old Saberlight.
Things never change, huh?
Yeah, poor guy, man.
Well played. Oh, wait,
he thought about TPing to the outpost there. Invoker ran into the Bristleback, but can't catch a Invoker Ghostwalk.
But I think that fight that we just saw leading into the Roche was a great showcase of what I was talking about with Bristle. It just came from an unexpected angle through the morph, right? But he just turns into Bristle, slows him to a crawl, and he can't navigate the fight. They use both saves to delay his death, but he still dies. Another death.
He does have Snowball, pops the stick in order to get the mana. Snowball's on Nisha, the turnaround kill. Liquid did not expect that there was 3 heroes around this Tusk.
It's a big kill. And Lorinoff is the one to get it, which I think is the best possible outcome. He has some gap to close. He's more than 2,000 behind Nisha after that kill. But some progression being made here on that front. Didn't talk about Bloodseeker's facet. I feel like we don't see this one very often. I mean, we don't see the hero very often in general, but
I feel like
I've seen Blood Rush more.
The last few times I've seen Bloodseeker, they've gone this build.
Oh, they have. Okay.
So I've seen it a couple times, but when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's interesting that people are switching to this facet. And I don't think it ever got buffed or anything. So it just seems like something that people have figured out. Oh, this is actually pretty good. Or maybe they feel like Blood Rush is not that good. One or the other.
So it gives Bloodseeker a 50 range knockback when he's attacking ruptured targets.
Yeah, just for some...
I can't help but think that when you're farmed enough, it's a DPS loss. Like if you have enough attack speed and you need to keep like stutter stepping.
Sure.
I don't know if that equation, because like how much damage is 50 range from rupture? It's like almost nothing, right?
Yeah.
Compared to, but you need to have a ton of attack speed, I suppose. So until that point, this is definitely better. The other one just gives you some different utility, which I think can be very helpful no matter what role you play. Having that switch on for Thirst, where you can just get faster. Yeah, for the time being, this one should give him more overall damage in team fights. There's the shard for Whitemon. It's a very welcome sight for the side of Tundra. His spells will be very nice against the Morphling Goo when he turns into Bristle. It'll allow you to have a potential save later down the line against, you know, the Invoker Orchid that I keep alluding to is probably coming at some point. Excuse me, Hack. No, yeah, what am I saying? Orchid. He's not getting Orchid. Scratch that. They won't need it against that because they're not buying it, Cap, okay?
Okay.
So, yeah, stop saying that.
Okay.
Dispel against the Vessel is nice. I think the Vessel is actually the best thing to have it against.
Did you say, did you mention the break? Can you dispel Sharpshooter break?
I don't think so.
Okay. It says yes. It says dispellable yes, but I don't know. Is that talking about the break mechanic?
Radiant structures are fortified.
Sometimes when it just says dispellable yes, you're like, but what part of the spell are you referring to? Like Jingu, it's a great example. Right. Dispellable, yes. Well, you can't dispel one part of it, but you can't dispel the other part.
Yeah, and Sharpshooter breaks and slows. So which one are you removing?
Top tower is
Don't worry,
under
I'll Google
attack.
it.
I'm actually unsure. I feel like if you get Sharpshooter and you BKB, you purge off the break, right? So with that logic, maybe it is just dispellable also by Shadow Demon break mechanic. I don't think so though. It doesn't sound right to me.
Yeah, I feel like break should be something that you can easily dispel.
Saberlight will find himself a little Shadow Demon snack here. Whitemon out trying to get some control on the map. He will get the D ward, but it will cost him his life. And Mickey with the 45 seconds on the Aegis wants to try to look at this tier 2 tower and get something done with this early advantage for him. He is very far ahead on net worth, by the way. We haven't talked about just how much of a gap he has managed to make between himself and the Bloodseeker. Almost 3,000 separating the two. Glyph will stop the push. Good news for Liquid, though. They did get the shard for Ogre, so...
Fire shield time.
Fire Shield is actually pretty damn nice against Bristle when you think about it. Because he does these few really hard attacks.
Sure. Yeah.
And if you block a percentage of those right clicks, that is very welcome. Could also be nice against Bloodseeker. Even though his attacks don't hit as hard as Bristle's, a lot of the time Bloodseeker's fights are very much determined by do you find a kill during BKB or not.
Yeah.
And anything that stalls him by even a second can really change the complete outcome of a fight. So I think out of the games we've cast with Ogre, I actually think this is the one that Fire Shield is the best in. So I think Insania will be looking to keep this up at all times, in particular on the Invoker.
So you'd say it's like an A-tier shard now?
Hell yeah.
For this game? Oh, no! He got baited onto the Power Rune. Blink back on the Rolling Thunder to chain the stun. Oh, and he might get Whitemon as well. Ooh, guessed the wrong direction. So close.
They got the big one, though.
True.
And they will get the mid tower off this. No way Tundra defend without their Storm.
These kills, they really add up because it's helping the Pango get to Blinkens, and all of a sudden you can just breathe an entirely new life in team fights if you don't have to worry about, you know, Rupture. Or if you do, it's because they demonic purged you and then ruptured, which is whatever. Oh, nice bushwhack.
Nice demonic cleanse as well onto 33. It purged off the tornado, so he didn't get EMP'd. We didn't consider that one.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
It's a nice, kind of nice combo breaker against Invoker.
Yeah, it is.
I've seen it used that much in that way. It removes Cold Snap too, but the tornado one is a bit special.
It constantly cleanses you, right?
Mm-hmm. Until it's over.
So would you just be able to freely walk through ice wall, ice path, whatever?
I think... I don't think Ice Wall is dispellable. I think it's an aura. Right?
Okay.
It's like constantly apply. It's a good question. It's kind of immovable object versus unstoppable force, right? There's one constantly unslowing you and one constantly slowing you. Which one is stronger? I would think that you can't just freely walk through that. It would be the same with Ice Vortex from AA, right? I don't think Cleansing just lets you run normal speed through ground slows that are constantly pulsing. It seems off at least, but you know.
We're gonna scroll through the 1 million spells that Invoker has.
Yeah, good luck with that one.
It's all the million mechanics that the spells have.
Dire's bottom
I wonder
tower
how many
is under
pages
attack.
Invoker's pages with all interactions of all spells, like what counters it, what it pierces, explaining all the spells. The wiki of that hero has to be many pages long. Get a bit of a pause here.
Where we pause.
No reason given. The last communication between the two teams was bing bong twice.
Bing bong pause.
Oh, Insania's out. He's gonna go and read whether Demonic Cleansing removes Ice Wall.
Right, that'll be very important to know.
He'll be back in 15 minutes.
Do you like how I just quizzed you on really obscure mechanic?
I'm used to that. And I never know. Actually, I mostly don't know. But
Low FPS.
so in fairness though, if you're, I think this is something that the audience might generally overestimate about pros, is their knowledge about in-depth mechanics.
Yeah.
I like to say that Dota is just largely a game of feel, and the players have experienced certain situations a certain number of times in a combination of pub games and scrims and pro games, and then they're just used to, all right, this thing is good against that thing.
Right.
But
Feel,
if you quiz
feel is the replacement for there are so many interactions and mechanics and
Dire's
variables to
bottom tower
consider
has fallen.
that I cannot consciously keep up with all of it.
Yeah, it's not possible. There's nobody who knows all spells in Dota.
Ice Wall cannot be dispelled, by the way.
All right, so that works. Yeah, so the thing that's funny is you can have a player who's like an absolute master of the hero,
Has been
and then you
slain.
ask them the mana cost of their spell level 1, and they might not be able to answer the question. You're like, what the, man, you've played this hero 500 times.
Dire's
Or you ask them,
bottom
what's the
tower is
cooldown?
under attack.
Like, ask Ace, what's the cooldown of Hoof Stomp level 3?
Yeah.
I don't think he knows. I mean, maybe he does, you know, but it's just one of those things where you just know it in the
Yeah,
game.
he would
Inherently
probably be
what
able to play a team fight and without looking at his spell know when it's back up.
But he
and,
can't
like,
tell you exactly.
second.
And all of these, and that's just spell cooldowns or stat gains or whatever of your favorite heroes, right? But then when it gets to like really obscure stuff like mechanics, the pro players will be just as surprised as many of the casual players are with how certain things just work, because if it's obscure enough, chances are if you've played your hero 200 times, you might have never come across that situation.
Yeah.
Because you need to have the exact matchup, and then on top of that, the thing needs to happen in the game. And if it's based on an item or a spell combo or whatever, it's just low probability. So
That's why Dota 2 is the most prolific backseating game.
yeah,
You can always be like,
that's actually super true. People who watch streams and are like, how does this guy not know this? Come on. And then you realize for yourself, all right, the only reason I actually know this is that it happened to me in one game 3 years ago.
yeah.
So I just tried it. Yeah. I also think sometimes stuff that is like, let's say, overpowered or even bugged, the players might not even realize it's bugged. They just realize, wow, my hero is really strong.
Yeah.
So, for example, this current thing that was going on with the overload hitting twice on Storm, I genuinely believe the players didn't know.
I do feel like there are certain players who definitely know.
There could be. I just don't think all of them knew. I think
Yes,
they just
100%.
played Storm and they saw other people buy Shard on Storm. They're like, wow, this does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And we were looking through it as talent. I was talking to Fogged about this. He was like, this Shard is amazing. It reminds him of the old Chilling Touch from AA when you could cast it on allies for attack damage.
Oh,
if you
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that. It's
yeah,
like a
I
very
do.
old spell. He was like, this is crazy good. But he never brought up, I think it's bugged. He was just like, this is really strong. So if we're watching 10 Storm games of different pro teams playing it and we don't realize, there's no telling that the pros themselves will know.
Yeah.
They're just like, wow, when I get my shard, I pop off. I put it on my team and we just kill stuff. And then, oh, it's actually doing more damage than it's supposed to. And then you might never realize. Smoke time for Liquid. This is a big moment. 6k lead. They want to look to contest for the inevitable Roche spawn.
Yeah, between the pause and the lack of kills for a period of time, I feel like we've gone like 10 minutes without a...
Yeah, we've had some time to talk about niche interactions of which none have happened.
Radiant's bottom tower
Which is great.
Get to nerd out about the game.
Always good.
All right, so Tundra are going to be spotted by a Forge Spirit.
Yeah.
So Liquid has an idea. This is just classic
Oh, missed the
setup.
bushwhack though. That could have been a nice start. I think what you want for Liquid is you want to force out the defensives. Like, go on any hero. If you can bait a disruption, if you can bait a small ball save, then you can develop a fight.
Oh, Roshan's going to be on the other side. Tundra's going to go through the gate. Liquid, they kind of need to stop this. Nisha, can he stop any of these heroes? They're going to spot 33.
Oh,
And a tornado. Oh, yeah, they spot him. Oh, he thought it was real, so he thought he was going to get stunned up. He's going to be caught. Oh, fueled by an illusion. They're going to come back through the gate. They're actually going to try and bail out. Oh, wow. They're going to try and take this. It's not good. 33's already dead. Lornoff has used BKB. Now Soxa's going back through the gate. What a disaster. Oh, my God. Actually, just insane what just happened there.
If he hadn't canceled his TP, everything would have been fine.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone was in range, but just that illusion.
Liquid would have been screwed. There's no way to contest Roshan, really, except for going through the gate. Oof.
It's not exactly what we talked about, but like, think about how random that little thing was. It's one more Illu. And every instinct of 33 there is like, all right, I'm getting killed.
Yeah, I mean, you can't blame him. Like, he thought that was Mickey, and of course, Mickey's going to stun him.
And the rest of his team think it's also Mickey, so they start coming back through the gate to try to help him. And ultimately, this was the absolute worst case scenario. It would have been better if Bristle just died, and that was it. But now you also used a Storm BKB charge, and you also lost your Tusk. And you got nothing to show for it. That was just an absolute Liquid win. Now with the second Aegis and the banner. Let's see if this bottom lane is up for grabs. It looks like Liquid are opposing, like they want to potentially consider sieging at least. Soxa gets the shard. Yeah, Mickey's gonna go start on that tower, and he will do it quickly. He's gonna get Bloodlust and Alacrity. Talk about empowerment.
Jeez.
Oh boy. They're gonna need to Demonic Purge him in fights probably, just to make sure he doesn't absolutely obliterate everyone. There's also Fire... there's actually so much value in Demonic Purge here. Fire Shield, Bloodlust, Alacrity. You want to get rid of all of that stuff on Morphling simultaneously.
And Tundra really doesn't want to fight. Obviously, they don't want to take a fight into the Aegis, but also this is pretty crucial. Level 20 on Bloodseeker, right? Like that is one of the talents that kind of puts your build together, right? You have an Aghanim Scepter, then you get a whole bunch of free spell lifesteal. Yeah. I think it's interesting, though, that everybody used to go the Rupture initial damage. I've only just now noticed this. I don't know if it's common, but he went for the Bloodright damage.
My main reference for this hero as a carry was that game I mentioned in Wallachia, and I think Parker went... He went Rupture initial damage and cast range and charges, I think. Despite going Ags, I don't think he went the spell lifesteal, but I could be wrong.
Okay. I wonder if this is just because he has like Shadow Demon to set up Bloodright, that he feels like the Bloodright damage is more valuable than the initial damage.
It's a good question. Yeah, I don't know, because you also have the Tusk, which I guess is a kind of nice catch, right? You get them in the shards, that's going to land your Bloodright.
Tornado caught the Shadow Demon. A huge pick off. There goes your cleanse. There goes your disruption. Oh, they're going to be hard pressed to be able to stop Mickey now. Mickey charges in. They start stunning him up, but of course he's already marched straight. He snowballs after them. Okay, double shards. He's created a little Thunderdome for himself. Rolling Thunder, Rupture. Looks like Sablelight's going to die for this one. So they do manage to get a kill out of this situation. Nightfall just took a huge chunk of damage. Mickey does so much, man. This Alacrity is so scary. Snowball into Lorna. His BKB, it's going to wear out. He has to zip away before the stun can hit him.
This Shadow Demon kill just set up everything. He has Bloodlust, Alacrity, and Amplify damage root, and they can't remove any of it.
Bushwhack tried to land. Lornoff jumps away just in time. Snowball goes out, and they do manage to take away the Aegis of the Morphling. See if anybody dies for it. Tusk very likely to come back and be killed by Mickey. They're going to jump after Boxy. Boxy already hit the Ghost Hunter, while 33 once again gets very low from Mickey's damage. Mickey just keeps on throwing damage out of them. Tundra keep on kiting back and forth. They are distracting Liquid from taking objectives, but Mickey will eventually get this job done.
This might be the end of the fight, though. Forcing them out here. Boxy is low. Bloodseeker is starting to get pretty damn fast if this keeps continuing.
Lornoff is behind them now. 33 pops his BKB, turns his back to Mickey. They're going to chase after him. Boxy in some trouble. Does manage to get a shot off thanks to the side device that blew him up with a big crit, and he kills 33 as well. There is too much damage coming out of this Morphling. The Blood Mist will not possibly contest this, and it's game over.
It's just Alacrity who turns around and he like 3-shots every hero in that fight. That did not look remotely close.
No, just a disgusting amount of damage coming from this Morphling. Goodness.
Yeah, when you have any sort of